Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers, FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well here on this fine Thanksgiving day. I'm working on some tech issues because, hey, it wouldn't be... There's the vent. By the way, it's making an appearance, everybody. For those of you wondering if the vent would ever make an appearance again, you can see the vent. It's hard to see because the green screen goes a little too high, but there might be a Santa hat in front of the vent making an appearance for Thanksgiving. Again, yes, we are live. I am Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Let's get me zoomed in here a little bit. There we go. Now we're all good to go. Hope everyone's doing well on this Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us today. Not sure how long we're going to go. We're going to visit with Tyler Buecher in about 15 minutes. So instead of Tyler coming in at 12:30, as he normally does on a Thursday, he's going to join us at 12:15. We figured we'd plan this show and kind of see how it goes. You know, how long we go is probably dependent upon all of you. Again, thank you for joining us here every day, Monday through Friday, here on the show. 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We usually go about an hour. Guests on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I solo host on Mondays. What are we talking about today? Well, let's get it up here on the old screen. And Rooney, there it is. Hey, everybody. Here's what we got to do. It's Turkey Day, and we are live. Happy Turkey Day to all. I said last week, hey, it's great. We'll do the show on Thursday. We'll talk a little football. I didn't realize that the normal 12:30 time got pushed back to 1 o'clock. So unfortunately, we're not going to have any live football today to talk about. Oh, that's unfortunate. But we're here. We're going to visit with Tyler Buecher. And again, about 10, 15 minutes here, he's going to jump in early. We're going to go game by game and team by team. And Tyler and I are going to discuss what's kind of necessary for all of these teams to have success today. So we'll talk about that. We'll also, before we get to that, talk a little bit of the waiver wire. Here it is, a Thursday. We'll talk about some of the results. Use it as an opportunity for us to get a chance to talk about the players who are added on a couple of teams. I see a bunch of comments here in the chat, which I love to see. Thank you, everybody, for, again, being with us today on Thanksgiving every day. Tony says happy Thanksgiving. Nick says happy Thanksgiving to me and the vent. Thank you. Appreciate you. The vent does too. It did make an appearance there, didn't it? Henry says happy Thanksgiving to all. Appreciate you. Let's see. Ethan's wishing the group well. Adam just got here a little bit late. Ethan's asking a question about Dart or Brissett. We think Dart's going to play. It's not a positive, but we think he's going to play. Let's go with Brissett. We'll answer some questions here as we move through the show. As you can see there on the screen, the big news probably is not just Jerry Seinfeld action here with Jeff Mans being a turkey like Kramer. We have a promo code. Right now, it's $99.99 for the rest of the season for all the football coverage we have. So all the NFL and all the college football, all of it for the rest of the season, $99.99. We got a promo code. Okay. Oh, and when I say all of it, I mean the wagering, I mean the DFS, I mean the seasonal. All of our football coverage, podcasts, live streams, articles, rankings, projections, Discord rooms, all of it for NFL and college football, seasonal DFS wagering, $99.99. But here's the happy man's giving. Use the promo code GRAVY25, GRAVY25. Promo code GRAVY25 knocks another 25% off. So you can get the rest of the season football coverage for $75. You can also use the promo code GRAVY25 right now for any product we have. You want to buy the MVP plan, which is basically everything we do besides football and baseball. That's hockey, basketball, NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, golf, all of that stuff. Use the promo code GRAVY25 to get a 25% discount on that. Anything we have to offer, any of the packages right now, use the promo code GRAVY25 for that 25% discount to Rooney. And happy Thanksgiving to you, Daniel. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Felix. And according to Adam, and I would have to agree, you can't make $75 back with the info, you got problems. Well, let's not put it on people like that. But I agree with you, Adam. Can't guarantee it, obviously, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But feel very good about the product we have to offer at FG. Feel great about the team we've got. Sign up, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Use that promo code GRAVY25 to rock and roll. Oh, no problem, Adam. Don't worry about that. It's early. It's Thanksgiving. We're all friends here. No one gets angry here on this show. We get angry on the SiriusXM show. We don't get angry on this show. So you're all good, Adam. No need to apologize whatsoever. Before we visit with Tyler Buecher and talk some Thursday football, remember promo code GRAVY25. Let's talk some Fab. Let's get it up here on the screen. A very limited run this week in leagues. I think no one's paying attention. On the SiriusXM Host League, it's $100 Superflex League. Devin Neal was added for $39. Someone blowing their budget to get the running back of the Saints. Bottom line is that he popped up on the injured list yesterday, did Devin Neal, with the ankle issue. Never good when this happens midweek. It's probably not a big deal. He's probably going to play, but it is something to keep an eye on. He's very likely to be the lead back for the Saints. We've talked about him already this week. Be the lead back for the Saints, be a decent flex option. Catch the ball out of the backfield. Got a little bit more juice right now on the ground than Alvin Kamara has. As we've discussed, though, on the show, Saints offense isn't very good. They don't score points. They don't sustain drives. They don't produce a lot of yardage. So there is a limit there, but Neal is a flex option this week, provided he's able to play through the ankle issue. He went for $39 of $100 here in this 12-team super flex league. Brandon Cooks went for $2. I don't know why. He's with the Buffalo Bills, if you didn't see. Elijah Moore was released. Brandon Cooks was signed. Okay. I mean, there's always a chance Brandon Cooks emerges, I guess. For $2, what the hell not? Isaiah Hodgins also went for $2. As you can see, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Really hard to envision a scenario where Brandon Cooks creates enough value to even be possibly a starter. But the Bills are obviously searching. We've discussed that, including this week with Armando Mersal on Tuesday. We discussed how the Bills can't figure the wide receiver group out. Everyone's playing 30 snaps. Everyone's running 22 routes. They're just rolling through guys. The only guy on the field consistently is Shakir. Maybe Brandon Cooks can emerge. I'm not expecting that. Isaiah Hodgins short term, with Jackson Dart likely back. Better, obviously, I think, with Jameis Winston. Marcus Mariota for $0 is a very solid addition. I have Tyrod Taylor. Is there much difference between Taylor and Mariota? So I just kept Taylor. Someone else added Marcus Mariota for $0, dropping Davis Mills with the assumption that CJ Stroud, who's back to practicing, will return this week, as we heard he will. Dylan Sampson for $0 is a good addition. Looks like Judkins is going to play. Remember, it's still Thursday, and though there's 3 games today, it's still Thursday, meaning we only have 1 day of practice for most of the teams in the NFL, right? So there's still a lot to be determined. Make sure when you're setting your lineups, you're not filling that flex spot today. Put those guys that are playing on Thursday in positions. Put the guys that are playing on Friday in positions. Don't put those guys in your flex spot. Don't tie up your flex spot. We still have a long way to go. There'll be 4 games before the weekend, but then everyone's active this week, so keep that in mind. As we move to the next slide, the the Elite Sports Listener League, with some of y'all. I wonder if anyone's here. If you're in my league, hello. I fortunately moved to, I think, 8-4 last week. Team's starting to come around. Slow start, but starting to come a bit around here. We saw Isaiah Pacheco go for $80. And as you can see there, someone else went $78. So very close. Bids of 52 and 50, 12-team, $1,000 to spend in this league. Isaiah Pacheco is expected to obviously play today. Kareem Hunt, as we've talked about, we talked directly about this on the Elite Sports Show. Elite Sports Show is Monday through Friday at 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with Jeff Manns. I'm with him Wednesdays. I'm here with you the other 4 days of the week. On Wednesdays, when I'm not here, Justin Fensterman steps in as he did yesterday. So we're here 12 to 1 every day, Monday through Friday. Jeff Manns is 2 to 5 on SiriusXM. Jeff and I talked about this yesterday directly. We both agreed with the position that Kareem Hunt saw 30-plus touches last week because they weren't planning on doing much with him today. They were planning on Isaiah Pacheco being back on the short week. Hunt is still the guy I would start because I think he's the goal line guy. Pacheco, though, is very likely to get his 10 or 12 touches, give you his 42 yards, and then it's a matter of whether he gets in the end zone or not. So unsexy, unappealing, but as a flex option, beat up. It's getting late in the season. There's always a chance that Pacheco emerges here. Hunt is really kind of running on fumes. I don't really trust Rashad Smith as a ball carrier. Not a bad addition at all for Pacheco. Zach Ertz for 35. Fine. The drop was Keon Coleman. Who cares about Keon Coleman? Zach Ertz obviously working with Mariota. Ertz is basically 3 or 4 catches for 39 yards. So it's the random touchdown. It's the only thing that gives him value. We know what he is at this point of his career. Commander's hoping to get McLaurin back this week. We'll see. It's still early in the week, but that's a potential outcome. $21 there. I dropped Ray Davis and added Will Shipley. I have Saquon Barkley. I think Bigsby is the guy that would step in for Barkley, but Ray Davis not doing anything for me. Barely sees the field. I don't have Cook, so I made the move to add Shipley, who, he would get some run if Barkley were to go down with an injury. Obviously, I still think Bigsby would be the lead guy, but he wouldn't be touching it 22 times a week like Barkley is. So added Will Shipley, dropping Ray Davis there to give me a secondary cuff. Not an ideal scenario, but I think in this situation it made sense. And then finally, Julian McLaughlin for 18. Who cares? He's the number 2 back. And I say who cares? I mean, if RJ Harvey gets hurt, okay. But Julian McLaughlin's not a big guy. He's not a between the tackles guy. If Harvey goes down, McLaughlin could see the ball 12, 13 times a week, though. So that's a solid addition at $18. I would not be rushing to get him in my starting lineup, though. I can absolutely say that. Next up, and finally, the FSGA Champions League, 14 teams, $100 to spend. You have to spend money on the actual day of to add the player, then to add the waiver wires open before games. Obviously, games start today, so very short waiver wire opening here. Lots of action here. Truth be told, I stink in this league. I'm 4-8. My team has been decimated by injuries all season long. If you finish in last place in this league, you get demoted. I've never been close to finishing in last place. I am close to finishing in last place. I am 4-8. I am one of 4 teams that is 4-8, and there's another team that is 3-9. So I dropped Garrett Wilson 2 weeks ago because I'm not making the playoffs, no chance, and Garrett Wilson wasn't going to help me at all. I'm kind of surprised no one picked Garrett Wilson up last week, but he did go for $14 this week. You can't trade in this league either, so that wasn't even an option for me. So he went for $14. Mechie went for $11. There were a bunch of failed bids there. I had the second highest bid for Mechie. I went $7, but he did go for $11. Mechie is emerging as the number 1 pass catcher for Tyrod Taylor in the Jets. We talked a good deal about him yesterday on the Elite Sports Show. Brenton Strange for $7. Solid addition, Brenton Strange. We talked about him here on the show, including earlier this week on Tuesday. 4 or 5 catches, 45, 55 yards. He's not a bad option at all at a tight end play, though when Brian Thomas comes back, you have to worry about a ceiling with Brenton Strange because there'll be another mouth to feed there. But as you can see, 2 bids at $7. So the battle came down to the record there as to who win the player. Chargers went for $7. Oh, excuse me. I didn't read that. I read that incorrectly. It was $7 for Brenton Strange with no backup bids. The Chargers were a $7 bid. Why is someone bidding $7 on the defense? Oof. That must be somebody that has to win this week to not finish in last like me. As you can see there, I picked up 3 players this week. I picked up Jaden Daniels, I picked up Mac Hollins, and I picked up Jordan Love. Jordan Love becomes my starter. Let's pull it up so I can actually give everyone the. So I dropped Marcus Mariota and picked up Jordan Love. Not a big move forward. Jordan Love has struggled of late. The receiving core with the Packers is dicey. I think it's 2 touchdown passes in 3 games, but we do have Love ranked higher this week, so I'm going with Love. We'll talk about the Packers here in a few minutes. I also dropped Kirk Cousins and picked up Jaden Daniels. Ray, never have 2 quarterbacks. User, you are correct. I say that. I mean that. In this scenario, why do I have 2 quarterbacks? Because I'm hoping that I can win this week. I'm hoping I can play Jaden Daniels next week. Remember, in this scenario, I'm trying not to finish in last place. I have no chance to win the league. I have no chance to make the playoffs, so my goals are different. And my goal is not to finish in last place to get relegated, right? So I don't even know if Jaden Daniels is going to play next week. We heard he might. I've had this back. I had Jaden Daniels earlier. I dropped them. I've been rolling through. I had Mariota. I had Fields. I had Cousins. I mean, it's been a mess. And that's one of the main reasons why my team has struggled right at the quarterback spot. So that's why I did that. Daniels for $4. Oddly enough, no backup bids. Strange. Jordan Love for $3. There was a backup bid for $1. So close there. Also added Mac Hollins for $3. There was a backup bid for $2. So very close there. Again, I tried to get John Mechie. Ended up getting Mac Hollins. So there we go. We had the same price point. Adonai Mitchell for $3. Tampa Bay for $2. Dylan Sampson for $2. Dylan Sampson's a good addition. We talked about this. He's likely to maintain a 5-6 touch kind of zone unless Judkins goes down with an injury. He is beat up. He had multiple trips to the blue tent last week, Judkins. Sampson looks pretty good when he gets in the open field. You see the burst and all that kind of stuff. So very good addition at that price point. All right. I see our man in the green room. So I'm not going to waste any time boring you all with my talk. Remember, though, go to fantasyguru.com. We'll throw it up on the screen one more time. Use the promo code GRAVY25. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send an email to support@fantasyguru.com. Any product we have, any of our products that are available right now, if you use the promo code GRAVY25 right now, GRAVY25, GRAVY25, you get a 25% discount. So if you get the football package right now, that's $99.99, which gets you all the college football, all the NFL, all for both sports or for both situations. You get DFS seasonal wagering, $99.99. Apply the promo code of GRAVY25. You get it for $75 the rest of the way, as an example. Gravy25 is that promo code. All right. We're doing things different today for Thanksgiving. Thank you for all of you for joining us. I'm kind of surprised we got as many people here with us today. I kind of like it. Not really what Tyler Buecher, who joins us every Thursday, we were talking about this, and I said, hey, Tyler, what do you think? Come in 15 minutes earlier today. And he said, you know what, Ray? I can do that. I'm a team player. I'm going to eat my turkey a little bit later in the day. And we said, we'll kind of go and see how the room works. So he's here. So let's bring him in. Tyler Buecher, fantasyguru.com. Happy Thanksgiving, Tyler.
Happy Thanksgiving. How you doing, Ray?
Doing okay. We have a lot of people saying thanks in the chat room, which is really nice. By the way, I didn't even mention this earlier for those wondering what that's all about. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. All three of those places, you can watch the show live and leave comments and questions. You can obviously watch on demand too at any point you want. But if you're watching live, you can leave comments and questions. We've already kind of done that today. Thanksgiving. I mentioned earlier you're having turkey later. Did I misspeak, or are you having turkey later? I guess not everyone does it.
No, not everyone does. One of my friends, they are up in, where are they? Delaware now, close to the Maryland area, and they are doing some crab cakes. That's what they're doing for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, pardon me.
Right.
Yeah, we're doing a turkey over here, but we're doing a smaller one, just my wife and I, so we don't need to do an all-day kind of thing. It's a smaller bird, so we're able to delay that one. And she's got to do some stuff later this evening, so we're gonna have a later one. But it's football all day today, so I'm really excited for this upcoming slate here of football matchups.
It's really good for Thanksgiving. It's really good for Thursday, but it's really good. And I said this earlier. I misspoke when you and I were talking too. I thought that the game started at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, but they changed it to 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this year. So we don't have any game. I thought we were going to be able to talk game action on the show here, so I blew that. But yeah, let's kind of go through. I figured, we'd ask you kind of how are these teams going to win these games, right? Like what give us a key, how these teams are going to emerge victorious, kind of an offensive key for each of the teams. We'll start out with the morning game, the Packers and the Lions. I just talked about adding Jordan Love in one league. We're hearing that Josh Jacobs is about 100%. We know the receiving core is all kinds of beat up for the Packers. Jaden Reed wasn't activated. What's an offensive key here for the Packers against the Lions? Is there something that really stands out? Because you figure even with the Packers' good defense, it's going to be really tough to keep them off the scoreboard playing at home.
For Green Bay, I would imagine it relies around their deep passing, their ability to win on the vertical game. We've got some great vertical wide receivers there, namely Christian Watson, who's since coming back has just been on fire. I mean, he's been producing gains of 25 plus left and right, seemingly every matchup. Now gets a Lions defense that is running man-heavy coverage at one of the highest rates in the league. They're without one of their starting safeties, Kirby Joseph. They're giving up the fifth most gains of 20-plus yards. It just sets up for a lot of great explosive pass plays from Jordan Love, should he remain clean in the pocket. He has been elite whenever there hasn't been pressure. He's quarterback 1 in EPA per play. Like, fantastic.
Right.
He's got decent splits against man coverage, so we're really just really hoping for him to stay clean in that pocket. Last week we saw Jameis Winston a bunch of explosive pass plays against this Lions defense. Let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different players had a gain of 30-plus yards or more. One of them being Winston himself.
That was wild.
In that wild reception. Yeah.
Yep.
Look at that, man. Showing missed tackles forced, yards after contact. Dude's got it all. Yeah, so that's my thought for the Packers. They need to get this vertical game going. I expect the run game to have some troubles. The Lions have been hit or miss with their run defense, but they're bottom 5 in rushing production allowed. I think they're one of the worst as well in the EPA per rush allowed. So it's not setting up for a great spot for Josh Jacobs on the short week. I could envision him being used a little less than normal. Perhaps we see some more Emmanuel Wilson, particularly after that big and productive outing that he had last week. So that's kind of my thought for the game. Away from the run, stick to the pass.
On the other side with the Lions, we've got a scenario where they're down Laporta. We got the information that Brock Wright's not going to play this week, so they don't really have a tight end. Jamison Williams apparently had established himself as a consistent 460-1 guy, completely vanishes from the offense. You've got a scenario where, Jahmyr Gibbs is just crazy on fire, and since Dan Campbell has taken over play calling, David Montgomery really not seeing the ball as much. It's been, let's give it to Montgomery half as much, if that, from Jahmyr Gibbs. What are they doing against the Packers defense that obviously, can bring some pressure? They got Micah Parsons and all that kind of stuff. Some good players on that side of the football. What's the key for the Lions here in this game against the Pack?
Yeah, the last time these two teams faced off, it was week 1 in the season opener. The Packers really just rolled in that game. The Lions weren't able to do anything outside at Lambeau. We saw Jared Goff with a 31 of 39 outing, but it was all underneath stuff. Like everything was 5 yards, air yards or less, where it was all close to the line of scrimmage passes. What we need here is for these guys that have a lot of great yak skills, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, to utilize that yak against this zone-heavy Packers defense. I'm really expecting it to be a game where we see Jahmyr Gibbs go nuts again. Like he's just seen fantastic usage and utilization. The David Montgomery split and opportunity has just really gone south these last few weeks. His snap share has gone over the 3 games since Campbell started taking over from 54% to 39% to 34%. So a 20% decrease over these last 3 weeks in terms of snaps for Montgomery, where I'm expecting this to be a lot of Gibbs in terms of him showing off his explosiveness in the run game. Packers are a little bit more soft against the run than the pass. So that's like another feather in Gibbs' cap. And then we also have the fact that this team plays zone coverage at one of the league's highest rates. We like to target pass catching backs against zone because they generally take a step backwards. It allows for these guys to catch passes and operate in space. You put Gibbs in space. We saw it last week in overtime. That's all he needs. Just a little crack and he's gone. So I really like Gibbs here as one of those guys that if you're playing the DFS slate this week, Gibbs is the singular player I would not fade at all. He's the first player I'm putting in as the core building block.
We talked, Jeff Mans and I talked about that on the Elite Sports Show yesterday. And I mean, it's one of those things like you just have to eat the chalk. Not only is there the potential for production, you just got to do it because everyone's going to be playing Gibbs. Is that kind of your thought process too?
No, it's not that. I think that there's very few paths to him failing. If he doesn't do well in the run game, he will get going in the pass game because they are going to continue to utilize him. This offense has become almost Eagles-esque, where it's really centered around two to three players, with Gibbs just being the number one guy. Incredible XFP, expected fantasy points production. He's outperforming what he's expected to do. So he's even running hot, and he's in a matchup where I think he could continue to run hot. So the reason why I'm playing Gibbs is because there are multiple paths to him producing, even if he were to meet some kind of failure in one of those angles. I think the receiving game, though, is just bulletproof.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. By the way, each week the staff, including myself and Tyler, put out our confidence pool. We put out who's going to win each game. Both of us have the Lions. I'm looking at it right now. So both of us expect the Lions to emerge victorious in this game. Let's go to the next game, Tyler. And the next game is really interesting for a variety of reasons. Kansas City and Dallas. I was talking earlier today on the show about Kareem Hunt. My expectation is, and tell me what you think as you talk about the Chiefs offense, that we're expecting Pacheco to be out there and see his kind of normal snap share. They gave the ball 312 times to Kareem Hunt last week because they knew Pacheco was coming back this week. So don't expect Hunt to be some star this week. Rashee Rice is a little bit beat up. Jeff has been really positive on Xavier Worthy, maybe having a couple of big plays this week against the Dallas team that can obviously be beat on the defensive side of things. So they've gotten better here of late. What are the Chiefs going to do today against Dallas?
Yeah, this Dallas defense coming out of their bye week. So they added Quinnen Williams. They added Logan Wilson. I think even more importantly, they got back both of their starting safeties, Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. Collectively, it just seems like this team's taken a turn where, sure, some of it's been matchup based. A lot of teams look good when they play the Raiders, but to see them follow it up with a good performance against the Eagles as well, where they held them to 0 points in the second half and were able to storm that comeback because of their strong defense. Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. On paper, like if you look at season-long data, Mahomes should absolutely crush. But I do believe that this Dallas defense has turned into a more formidable opponent. I really don't have any faith in this run game at all. We've got Pacheco coming off a multi-week injury. The fact that we're going to see some utilization splits there with Kareem Hunt too. I think Hunt might maintain that short yardage role, the red zone role, which really puts a thorn in any kind of upside for Pacheco for start-sit formats. And then you've got Rashard Smith just sporadically coming in for being the league leader in yards per out run among all running backs. Yet they're not giving him the ball. So
weird, right?
We'll see how that one plays out. In my eyes, it's a spot to avoid almost entirely with the Chiefs running backs. The pass game for Mahomes, though, it's a pretty good spot here. Cowboys are giving up a bunch of production. We saw who was it? AJ Brown and Devonta Smith both almost cleared 100 yards last week.
Yep.
I like the spot for Rice. This team plays zone coverage at one of the league's highest rates. And where Mahomes has had trouble has been more against the man-heavy defenses. Some teams have actively switched to playing more man against the Chiefs. I do not believe the Dallas Cowboys do that to any degree in terms of it being notable. So I think Mahomes against the zone coverage defense is going to kick some butt. There's a reason why he's the chalkiest quarterback on the slate. It's a good matchup for him across the board. His receivers are in plus spots. Almost all of his receivers, as well as Mahomes, have plus splits against zone coverage. Rice, Kelsey, the heavy hitters there. I think both those guys are in line for good spots. And then Worthy could be that shot play option where he's had really rough stats when you look at the games that he and Rashee Rice have played together over the last 2 years.
Right.
So the way I think Worthy hits is if we get Mahomes time in the pocket, which he's seeing a lot of pressure up the defenses. This Dallas defense is putting a lot of pressure up the middle with a combination of Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark. They've got some young pass rushers on the edge now that they jettisoned most of their big name guys, but the internal pressure I think is going to really force Mahomes off his spot. And when we see Mahomes buy time, anything's game. He could do the 40-yard bombs to Tyquan Thornton. He could do the 40-yard bombs to Xavier Worthy. I like the spot for tournaments where if you're playing in any of the DFS contests, Worthy is probably going to be maybe one of the 8th or lower ranked wide receivers in terms of total ownership on the slate. Makes him an interesting play if you're doing stacks with the Chiefs. Everybody will be doing Kelsey and Rice. Throwing in Worthy or swapping one of those guys out for Worthy will be a good way to get contrarian.
We have breaking news, by the way, here on the show. Everyone sit down for this. It's big. The Vikings have signed Desmond Ridder to the practice squad.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to get a laugh here on Thanksgiving. He's Tyler Beaker. I'm Ray Flowers. This is Fantasy Sports Daily. We're here Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, including live on Thanksgiving. Cowboys on the other side here, Tyler. They face a Chiefs team that their defense is pretty solid. And if you look at the last 6 weeks in particular, they have allowed the second fewest points to the running back position. It's barely 3.5 yards a carry. What does that mean for Javonte Williams? And what does this mean for the offense? Is it going to have to be a pass-heavy script, which is, they kind of do both. They run a lot of plays most times, the Cowboys do. Is Pickens the number one wide receiver on this team too, by the way, now? I don't know. Talk us through what you think the Cowboys will have to do to have success against the Chiefs.
Yeah, since bringing back CeeDee Lamb, like one of the key points of their offense, this team ranks right or slightly above average in pass rate over expectation. It's a plus 1%, so that's nominal. That means basically in almost any even game script, the Cowboys are just as likely to run versus throw as the rest of the field is. So in my eyes, considering that we've got that in one corner, we've got the fact that the Chiefs are 23rd in EPA per rush over the course of the season. They're 13th in EPA per pass. So it kind of leans towards, I know you said there's some recent stats showing that they've done well against the run. Mm-hmm. I think they sold out to stop Jonathan Taylor, because prior to that, it had not been a great run stopping season for defensive tackle Chris Jones, one of the worst graded run defenders in the league this year. Very abnormal for his typical a guy of his stature. But to me, what I'm going around the bush here is I think Javonte Williams is one of those guys where they will just consistently feed him throughout the game, where by the time we look up in the fourth quarter, we're like, oh, he's got 75 yards and a score. Mm-hmm. He's just one of those guys that they just consistently feed, whether they're losing or winning. And that's fantastic for fantasy. Like, that means he's got a high floor. I think he's an RB2 with honestly maybe some top 12 upside if he reaches the paint. So I think he's an RB2 that you can confidently plug in tonight. There's going to be a lot of questions with who to start today versus Sunday. Players that we know are healthy and ready to go, I'm just going to give them the nod, because there's a lot of guys coming back from injury, from IR specifically, where there's just too many question marks, where if you've got, what is it, the hand in the bush or bird in the bush, and two in the hand.
Bird in the hand?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Thanksgiving.
It's my first time ever saying that. So bear with me, team. But yeah, I think Javonte Williams is a great play there. Dak, he'll face a defense that plays a lot of too high coverage. That kind of just naturally floods targets towards the middle of the field, sets up CeeDee Lamb for a great spot. I know the coaching staff came out and said they really wanted to get him involved in this particular matchup. The quote is, he's got that look in his eye. It's the same look he had after that first game in Philadelphia. Expecting a lot of balls to go 88's way on Thursday. So we'll see if that quote from Schottenheimer rings true or if it's just coach speak. My thought is, it will ring true. It's also a fantastic matchup for him on the slot relative to George Pickens on the perimeter. Pickens is now $100 priced up above CeeDee Lamb on DraftKings, which I thought was a notable shift, given that we've seen the recent spike in production from Pickens over these last 2 games. But it's really been since Lamb's arrival, it had been really favoring Lamb in terms of the targets and opportunity. Pickens has just gotten hot in terms of touchdowns and hot in some of its explosive plays. This is a matchup where I think the pendulum swings back in Lamb's direction. I like him quite a bit for any kind of the DFS contest. Same with tight end Jake Ferguson. He was tackled at the 1 yard line last week. I believe it was twice. And he had a 60-yard performance. I could see another high floor outing here from him for those that are looking for some tight end help. Chiefs are giving up the 5th most yards per target to the tight end position. So those are the guys that I'm looking at here for Dallas. Dak, I think, is probably going to be the 3rd highest owned quarterback on the slate for the 3-game slate today. But it's a good matchup here. The Chiefs like to blitz. This guy is number 1 in PFF's grading against the blitz. So should be a fun matchup here in the middle afternoon.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Again, he joins us every Thursday, normally 12:30 Eastern Standard Time right now, but he joined us earlier today because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Both of us over at fantasyguru.com also predicting the Chiefs win this game. So the Chiefs on the road, according to what we have there. The final game today, Cincinnati, Baltimore. A lot going on here on both sides. Obviously, the big news for the Bengals is Joe Burrow's back. Does his return really change things? I mean, Joe Flacco was doing a pretty nice impersonation of Joe Burrow, right? So they get back Jamar Chase, though they lose T. Higgins. Tinsley, Yosavash are going to have to step up. We see Chase Brown, much like he did last year when he started slowly, really coming on later in the year. Bengals, talk to us. The Ravens defense started slowly, but they have gotten much, much better of late, and it looks like Hamilton's going to play today for them.
Yeah, over the last 4 weeks, they are one of the league's best defenses. They are number 1 in EP per rush. They're number 5 in EP per pass. But let me add some context there. They face the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Browns, and the Jets. So
that's not good.
QB-wise,
that is good for them. But
yeah, good for them. Well, they're doing what they should. They should
Right.
do well against poor quarterbacks. And those quarterbacks in those matchups, Tua, JJ McCarthy, Dylan Gabriel / Shador, and then Tyrod. So good. You should be doing well against teams that are led by those quarterbacks.
Right.
Burrow, I think, is their first legitimate test that they've had in a month. So I'm very curious to see how Burrow does health-wise, because last year we saw with that calf injury, he was not the same Burrow that we've typically seen. This is him coming back from a turf toe injury. And while people like to laugh at the name turf toe, it's a really rough injury where, excuse my crude little animation here, but it's basically like this being your toe, your big thumb, the webbing of your thumb to your toe. You can't like push off or do anything with that. So it really restricts your ability to step forward into throws, to move around in the pocket, to do a lot of things. So there's, to no surprise, like it's the reason why Brock Purdy was out so long. It's the reason why Burrow's been out so long. It's a serious injury. I'm curious to see if he's back at 100%. They held him out. He was supposedly good to go last week, but they said, let's give him another few days, cue him up for this Thursday matchup. With that said, I believe we're in line for a healthy Burrow and what should be a very, very exciting matchup here. The Ravens play a good amount of single high coverage where they'll bring down a safety into the box. Kyle Hamilton's been that guy that's consistently playing towards the line of scrimmage. And it's been Alohi Gilman hanging out in the back, but single high coverage, it just screams Burrow to Chase. This duo just kicks butt anytime they're playing in that type of defensive scheme. I think it's a spot where Jamar Chase goes back for his typical 100+ yards in this type of matchup. Burrow threw 400+ yards and 4 touchdowns the last time he faced this Ravens defense. Jamar Chase being a key contributor there. 11 catches, 264 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. If you think that's fluky, the time before that, he went for 10, 193 and 2. Just absolutely beat up on the Ravens in the 2024 season.
Yep.
Ravens were also beat up in the secondary. There were a lot of injuries there at the cornerback position specifically. They've gotten healthier at corner. Could be a little bit more of a challenging matchup. But this is still the number 1 wide receiver in the league in my eyes. And he's getting his quarterback back. And we no longer have the Joe Flacco 5-yard A-dot throws where it's just, let me pepper you guys and get 21 catches and hopefully we get to 100 yards. Now we've got legitimate 150-yard upside, 200-yard upside. So yeah, I think Burrow back really makes this a fun competitive matchup. Bengals are 7-point road dogs. Temperatures in this game going to be in the low 30s, so it's going to be one of those cold games. But it just screams like a fantastic AFC North matchup. The last time these two teams faced off, let me look at the score. It was I'm sorry.
Like
It was
412 to 409.
The score was like 43 to 44 or something, and the Bengals lost because they failed on a 2-point conversion. Yeah, it was 34 to 35. Pardon me. So in that matchup, we saw Lamar Jackson also threw for 4 touchdowns. Burrow threw for 4 touchdowns. I think this one is the best game on the slate, and it has the widest range of outcomes. So like we could see Burrow and the toe injury like really lead to a stinker, or we could see a shootout reminiscent of that 34-35 shootout. I'm hoping it's for the latter, and we get to end the night on a banger of a game.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. On the other side here, the Ravens, lots going on with the Ravens. Their offense, I don't know if disarray is the right word, but there's no consistency with their offense. People in the fantasy space are nervous because Lamar Jackson's not running anymore. The offense isn't moving the ball effectively anymore. They've had one consistent pass catcher. It's Zay Flowers, and all he does is score 11.9 points a week, never gets in the end zone. The Ravens do have a matchup against a Bengals defense that is bad. The Bengals will be out their star edge rusher, Trey Hendrickson. They are categorically, historically bad against the tight end, Likely and Andrews, maybe today pop at that as a result of that. What are we looking at with the Ravens here? To me, this is a really important game for the Ravens because, again, their offense has been very uneven, and this is a matchup against the Bengals defense that they should have success in.
Right, they should. And I feel like we've had that conversation where they should be running all over this team. They should be doing well here. And Baltimore has found ways to either make that a challenge or just delay the success until the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So everything on paper screams for a big Derrick Henry game. Not only is this team beat up without some of their edge players, you mentioned Hendrickson out, Shamar Stewart's on IR. They just placed him on IR. So it's 2 starting edge rushers. Their 2 linebackers are among the worst graded PFF run defenders. This team as a whole is bottom 5 in PFF's tackling grade, going against the big dog, Derrick Henry, in his hometown where he's a 7-point favorite. It screams Derrick Henry, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns on paper. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. The injury to Lamar Jackson just makes him seem like he is not doing well in terms of his mobility. His rushing prop is like 24 yards. It's the lowest it's been in ages.
Right.
Teams are just not expecting him to run the ball at all. But you can throw against this Bengals defense. They are not doing well on the back end. They've got one great corner there, DJ Turner. I imagine he will probably tail Zay Flowers for quite a bit, but I don't know. I still view this game for Lamar as like kind of a variable performance where he could have some good moments. He could have some drives where they go 3 and out. The tight ends should be able to dominate. They're giving up just a boatload of production to the tight end position. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, they are both a 1-2 good punch in my eyes for the DFS slate. Andrews likely to be the highest owned tight end. I think you could see 40 to 50% ownership depending on the contest you're entering, right? Which makes it merits a possible fade if you're getting owned that high on a 3-game slate. I'll just say that. But the Ravens run a lot of 2 tight end sets, so we're also going to see a good amount of Likely. Likely is the ever elusive, like quote unquote, what if player. Like, what if he gets that 40-yard touchdown game? Or there are paths to Likely being a smash option here in this matchup. But I think with this game, again, circles back to is Derrick Henry. Does the offensive line do well in the trenches? Is Henry able to get some explosive gains? I think he's in line for 20-plus carries, and he's really the story of this matchup. Can Derrick Henry find success on the ground? If they do, the Ravens run away with this. They kill the clock. They let the Bengals have very few drives and possessions because of that. Yeah, that's how I'm viewing this matchup. It should be the Ravens handling business at home on paper. But, that's what makes football so fun. It's a sport with an oblong-shaped ball where weird things happen on any given day.
Tyler and I, by the way, on paper, put the Ravens as the winners today, too. So there is that. And remember, the whole staff every week, it's part of what we do over at fantasyguru.com. The whole staff goes out there and says who's going to win every game. We have a confidence pool there. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. As you can see there on the screen, use the promo code GRAVY25. That gets you a 25% discount on any products, including the football product. So you can get the rest of the season football, which is all college, all NFL, all DFS, all betting, all seasonal, all of our football coverage the rest of the way for $75 if you use that promo code GRAVY25. Got some questions here. Let's jump in and see if we can answer. Remember, we got the 3 games to everybody, and then we've got the Bears and Eagles Friday. So there's still everyone's playing this week, no buys. Okay, so make sure when you're setting those lineups, You're not filling up the flex spot early. You're putting the players in the positions. There are a lot of players, as Tyler mentioned earlier, we still don't know. We go to Ethan's question here. Got a situation where a couple of players here, we just don't know. We don't know if Benson's going to play this week. We don't know if Amari Hampton's going to play this week. In the case of Ethan, at least he's got Bam Knight and Benson, so he's got the top two guys with the Cardinals. But we need two guys, Swift, Judkins, DJ Moore, Bam Knight, Benson, Vidal. Too early to go Vidal or Benson. We just don't know. I think that kind of removes Bam Knight too because we just don't know. So I almost want to say it's Swift and Judkins by process of elimination as of today. What do you think, Tyler?
Those would be the two that I would play as well. Swift's coming off a rough outing, but that was an anomaly in my eyes. I think we'll see better games from him, under 2 yards per carry in that matchup. But prior to that, he had been reaching, I believe, 80-plus yards from scrimmage in like 4 of his last 5. He's just been a consistent weapon for this Bears offense. I think too many people are putting too many eggs in the Week 12 result, where it's just really been more of him being far more productive in his Ben Johnson offense, an offense that wants to run the ball. And now they've got a middling run matchup against the Eagles this week. I think we'll see a lot of pass catching work for Swift in this game. And then Judkins draws the 49ers. We saw a boatload of receiving production to Chuba and to Rico on Monday Night Football. What a wild game that one was. But I believe Judkins is a high floor, high ceiling play in that matchup against the 49ers. We saw, I think Purdy really struggled last year, 2 years ago, when he went and faced the Browns defense the last time. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see a really close game script game, keeping Judkins in play all 4 quarters. And crappy weather, as Angelo noted.
Yeah, both Panthers backs, I think, had 4 catches last week, right? So like you said, they were both heavily involved. Tony, thank you, Tony. Thank you, Ray, and all the Fantasy Guru team for you guys listening to you all almost every day. We appreciate Tony, everyone else. And again, right before Tyler came on, if you were late joining us, thank you, everybody. We are thankful for all of you guys and gals for your support here on the show, over at the website, all that kind of good stuff. Daniel's got a question. Needs 2 starters: Zay Flowers, Jalen Waddle, Ladd McConkey, Romeo Doubs. I look at this foursome, and one guy doesn't belong here, and it's Romeo Doubs to me. So he's out immediately. Jalen Waddle's been a wide receiver 1 since Tyreek Hill got hurt. I think he's got to be in there. So for me, Waddle's in, and then we need to decide Flowers or McConkey. Is that how you see it, Tyler?
I agree. Yeah, Waddle's been absolutely on fire. I just posted my DFS column for this upcoming week, and Waddle's in there. Sorry for those behind the paywall, giving you guys a little sneak peek there. Waddle, I think, is a guy in line for a great matchup here. And then we're weighing Flowers versus McConkey in my eyes. Chargers draw the Raiders. The Ravens draw the Bengals. That's the tiebreaker that I need. Ravens, Bengals. I think we're going to go Flowers here. Flowers has just been a high floor option. I think he could be unleashed here ceiling wise in this matchup.
Yeah, he gets 12 points every week. I mean, he never gets a touchdown, right? I think he has 1 touchdown in 17 games actually, but if he gets in the end zone, you're looking at a potential 20-point game for him. Mark asked the question at the wide receiver spot, needs to choose upside. Jerry Jeudy can't be. I just laughed. I need upside. Jerry Jeudy, no.
Come on, Mark. What are we doing, Mark?
Yeah. So is it Burton or Slayton? To me, if we really need upside, I think it's got to be Slayton. But he could be the floor play too here, though we have Jerry Jeudy in the mix. The other option is Luther Burden of the Bears.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the Giants play the Patriots on Monday Night Football.
Correct?
Yeah, correct. So I will be going that route because that one screams shootout to me. I think there's a lot of upside there. We get Jackson Dart back, Dart versus May. I'm very excited for that matchup. That's going to be a really fun one to watch. Give me Slayton here for the upside.
Riley's got a question. Caleb Williams or Joe Burrow? We talked about Burrow in this situation there. We haven't talked directly. We were talking about Swift, but we haven't directly talked about the passing attack with the Bears. Do you have a favorite there, Caleb Williams or Joe Burrow?
Yeah, I'm not really eager to attack this Eagles defense pass-wise, so I will be going with Burrow here. I think he's the fun way to play this Thursday slate. I also think he's a fantastic redraft play. He's a top 10 option in my eyes.
Riley also has a question about dropping a player, and this one's interesting because, in my opinion, in leagues I'm in, you'd be crazy to drop any of these guys. I'm also not in shallow leagues and leagues that turn over a lot. Emmanuel Wilson, Kenneth Gainwell, Ricky Pearsall, Parker Washington, Zach Charbonnet. Can't drop Charbonnet. He's always in play as a flex option because he gets the goal line work, and you have Walker, so I think Charbonnet's got to be held. The rest of these guys, a lot of people want to drop Emmanuel Wilson with Josh Jacobs back, which I sort of kind of a little tiny bit understand, but I don't. you saw what the team will do if Jacobs is out with Wilson, and that's the same thing they do when Jacobs is in there. They're giving the ball 20 times to the running back, right? I don't know why you would drop Wilson, even though he doesn't have any value if Jacobs is back. Gainwell, I mean, he's catching 5 passes a week, going for 100 scrimmage yards now. They don't run a traditional offense there with the Steelers. Pearsall is on the field all the time, has done nothing, though, in 2 games. And then Parker Washington, who I think you can make an argument, is he the wide receiver 1 for his team right now? What do you think?
Let me remind you, last year, Joe Burrow was the quarterback 3 in fantasy scoring. I don't think you need Caleb Williams here if you've got a healthy Joe Burrow rest of season with that defense. So I would actually drop your second quarterback. Caleb Williams would be my drop.
That makes sense. I don't think, and it's one guy's quarterback 6, the other guy's quarterback 11. Yeah, very similar. DFS, you've been talking about DFS here. Hunt or David Montgomery, similarly priced in DFS. We talked yesterday on the Elite Sports Show. Jeff Mans, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the core 4 included David Montgomery. And then he said, if you want to go Montgomery and Gibbs, he wasn't against doing that. And we talked a little bit about Hunt. What do you think?
Yeah, for that reason, I don't think I would shy away from it either. I think Montgomery is an interesting play that will probably get super low owned. Not any, but let me rephrase that. Very few people will want to play Gibbs and Montgomery together. I think Gibbs would be that guy that reaches the 50 to 70% ownership mark in some small fields contests. Montgomery, the people that play Gibbs are not likely to play both. So I think you can double that down, or you could just play Montgomery. I'd go that route over Hunt, just purely because the Chiefs are really a pass funnel team. And the run defense for Dallas has really stepped up these last 2 weeks. I mean, they held Genty to 7 yards. They held Saquon to 22 yards. I'm not really eager to play any Chiefs running backs in this slate.
Dan's got a question here. He's got Burrow coming off the injured reserve list and needs to drop a quarterback. And I mean, look.
Wow.
You can't drop Matt Stafford. You can't. I can't. And again, would I have said that 3 months ago? 100% no. But I got to live in the reality. And the reality is that Matthew Stafford might win the MVP this year. Like, dude throws 2 touchdowns every single week and never throws an interception. And often it's 3 or 4. I can't drop Matthew Stafford. I mean, I guess I got to drop, him. I mean, I can't drop him, so I got to drop Justin Herbert. But we're basically talking about Herbert, Stafford, and Burrow, in my opinion, all being quarterback 1s. It's unfortunate you got to drop somebody that now someone else in your league is just going to pick them up for nothing.
Yeah, hopefully you can make a trade before the deadline. I'm not sure if that starts in 12 minutes or if it's by Sunday for the kickoff. Maybe you're able to the kickoff for each respective game. Maybe you're able to sell one of Stafford or Herbert. I'm with you. I'd prefer Stafford just given his level of play. He is unbelievable right now. Yeah. And Herbert, despite getting O'Marion Hampton back, he's still without both his offensive tackles. That's really the linchpin for me in terms of my decision maker. So give me Stafford and Burrow. I would lose Herbert, unfortunately.
And then in the second league, we got to drop Daniel Jones or Jacoby Brissett. Again, I don't know why, and I agree with what Tyler said, and I'll give him a chance to obviously answer here. I'm not carrying 2 quarterbacks. It's not unless there's a very rare scenario where I have a huge bench or something like I discussed earlier with my team, the fact that I'm trying not to finish in last place. I don't really love the idea of 2 quarterbacks. I get it because Burrow's coming off the injured list. I don't know why we have both Jones and Brissett, because how are you deciding who to start each week? Who are we dropping here? Brissett has been the hotter quarterback of late. What do you think?
It's really tough because you're right. The Cardinals are number 1 in pass rate over expectation of these last 4 weeks. We've seen Brissett really take off. Is that going to continue with the return of Marvin Harrison Jr.? Or does it just make the offense get even better? The addition of another wide receiver here to help Arizona. I think this is super matchup dependent. I would look at the remaining schedule for each one and use that as my tiebreaker. There's also the small possibility they bring back Kyler Murray from IR. I don't really think that's going to happen. I think Brissett's got this to close out the year. But I've really used the rest of the season schedule to make that your tiebreaker.
Patrick's got a question here. Pacheco, Charbonnet, or Neal? We think Neal's going to play. He had a ankle issue that popped up yesterday. We've talked earlier about Pacheco. We mentioned Charbonnet, who's always in play because of the goal line work, even though he doesn't do much. I would say Neal, and Charbonnet's my fallback. I'm not going to play Pacheco today. I'll just wait to make the decision on Neal's health.
Yeah, I'm not usually eager to play players that are coming off multi-week injuries either, unless they're elite players. I'm sorry, Pacheco. I don't view you in that category. So I'm going to go with Neal as well.
K-Space got a question here. Dobbs, Boutte, or Aaron Jones? I'm not doing Dobbs. Boutte, you mentioned the potential shootout here, but He usually gets 3 or 4 targets. He's not a big target guy. He needs that touchdown. And then there's Aaron Jones with the spotty quarterback play, though there is a different quarterback under center this week for the Vikings.
Yeah, they have a tough matchup against the Seahawks, pretty strong run defense, but they are giving up a lot of pass production to opposing backs. So for that reason, I think I'd go Jones. I'd rank that Jones, Dobbs, Booty. Booty has a good schematic matchup against a man-heavy Giant secondary. You can say the same for Dobbs. Those two are a lot closer, Dobbs, Booty. I'd put Aaron Jones as my play, though.
I would agree. Reggie or Reggie, I guess it's Reggie. AJ Brown or Diggs? I think the answer is yes. I think both, really. What do you think?
Let me see. Brown's got the Bears and Diggs has the Giants. Both in good spots. Yeah, I agree. I think both are probably top 15 wide receivers. How are we having this selection, Reggie?
Yeah.
I'm going to go AJ Brown because of the recent hot streak he's been on these last 2 weeks. Give me that over Diggs, who's coming off a 2-catch-20 outing.
This is another question from Craig here. And this is, again, people, you're giving yourself ulcers. I don't know. I mean, it's week 13 of the season. Why do you have Stafford and Mahomes on your team? Like, why didn't you make a trade at some point? Or because it's just, they're usually both top 6, right? And it's like, who you going with, Stafford or Mahomes? But again, I think you've got to just choose one of these guys literally and just play them every week. So if you're trying to play the matchup game, it just doesn't work long term.
Yeah, and this week Mahomes, the number 1 matchup, it's really tough to bench him. I think he's the best play on the DFS slate. You can argue he's the best play on the entire slate for week 13. So I would be playing Mahomes this week.
I agree with you on that one. Javonte Williams, Bucky, Irving. You got to go Javonte Williams, in my opinion. We think Irving's going to play. We thought Irving was going to play previously and weren't sure. We also got a report. The OC yesterday said, he's basically going to play like, Godwin did his first game back. Godwin played a third of the snaps. I think you got to go Javonte Williams. That's my call. What do you say?
I agree. I talked about Javonte earlier. I think he's a better play here in this matchup against the unknown of Bucky versus playing time. And
then finally, Houston and Baltimore. Baltimore's defense against the Bengals. We talked about that. We've got Houston against the Colts. Houston's got a really good defense, but on paper, that's a pretty difficult matchup against the Colts. Do you have a favorite here on the defensive side?
Baltimore doesn't get after the QB that often with like sacks and pressures. So I'm going to go Houston with that dynamic pass rush. I like the duo they've got there of Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson.
He's Tyler Beaker of FantasyGuru.com. He joins us every Thursday, usually at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. He hopped on a little bit earlier today. We really appreciate him doing that. We appreciate you all being here. I'm looking at the viewership numbers. It's not bad. A lot more than I anticipated. Tyler and I were kind of like, are we going to get 36 people today? No, it was pretty good. So thank you to all of you for being with us today. We've already talked about our plans for Thanksgiving, Tyler. We've all kind of fast-tracked the week, trying to get information out early because of all the early games. What do you got the rest of the week over at FG?
This week we've got the wide receiver DFS coach. Just posted that earlier today. Tomorrow I've got the DFS live stream show. I'll be doing that with Chris Rose at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll walk the entire main slate, which will be the Sunday games that begin at 1 o'clock Eastern. And then Saturday I'll have my typical game script article out, which will go over every game, looking at matchups, pace of play calling tendencies, and the individual players that stand to benefit the most. So be on the lookout for all that. All of it will be over at fantasyguru.com.
You can follow Tyler on Twitter X at Tyler Beaker. You can find him in Discord all the time. If you want to get more of his great information, you listen to the show every Thursday, but you can also sign up at fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Any questions besides start 'em, sit 'em, don't send those to the email address. Support at fantasyguru.com, support at fantasyguru.com. And remember, right now, short time only, Gravy25, Gravy25 for a 25% discount. Tyler, really appreciate you jumping on. I know the viewers and listeners appreciate it too here on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family, and we'll talk to you a week from now.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Ray, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching. Hope you all have a great Thursday and enjoy these football games. Should be a great slate.
It should be a great slate. Let's hope that the great slate matches what is hopefully a great meal and some great food, with friends and family around the old table here for Thanksgiving. So thanks to all of you. We'll be back here tomorrow on Fantasy Sports Daily, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It'll be me and Russell Clay. For Tyler Beaker, I am Ray Flowers. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily. Happy Thanksgiving, sponsored by FantasyGuru.com.